River Chuck,
Good morning, Bob.
lovely day. So make a lot of progress on your house, looks like.
John wore yesterday. And get the ball.
Your life.
This is fine.
Musical channel.
I think this is all yours, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's too long. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start with review of the minutes from last month's meeting. Everybody had a chance to take a look at them. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections. We will approve them as written. Did receive a treasurer's monthly report. Department reports.
Maybe we could do it by like alphabetical order or something. All right, council persons, I have left you the jail inspection report. That's something that the state jail inspector comes in and does. Given that to the county commissioners, the judges, the prosecutor, the everybody that needs it basically. So that's just for your, if you need something to help you sleep at night, you can read that. Staffing update, we're fully staffed in the academies. Wyatt Lashbrook started week 2 of the academy. I've got one out on leave right now. Corrections officers, we have 21 budgeted positions, 16 of those are filled with 5 in training right now of those 16. New facility needs 4 officers per shift to run safely. They're running 12-hour shifts. We're always hiring, always interviewing, and always testing. Communications officers, we have a new person that started last week, maybe a week and a half ago. And the last person will fill that will be hired next week. They'll start next week. Part-time stepping up. We're fully staffed in community corrections. August numbers for the detention center were 111. And that was the average, and the average for work release is 32. You guys have any questions or concerns?
Hi, Julie with the health department. I gave you guys our August numbers. Do you have any questions? Just an update. We're gonna do a mental health suicide overdose memorial ride on next Thursday, September 18th at 6 o'clock. We're gonna start at the new EMS building. And go to Spruce, then to West Street, up towards State Street, and end at the Bicentennial Park, and do a moment of silence. And we may have a speaker, but we'll have a table set up with things there. This ride will include first responders, police, fire, EMS, sheriff, mental health care providers, EMA, Gibson County commissioners, and Sully's towing. It's just to do awareness for, this is mental health suicide prevention awareness month. So we're trying to bring the community together, and this is all fire rescue EMS across the county. So
I gave you guys our August numbers. We had, 467 runs for the month of August. Our, Medicare claims have finally started coming in. We had $251,000 deposit. We had, one person leave. Dr. Gilbert hired a new full-time paramedic for that position. And we have one person that's on medical leave right now. Any questions? Thank you.
Morning, gentlemen and lady. It's been forever since I've talked to you. I hope I can remember how to do this. I just wanted to share with you a project that I'm working on. And if you read the paper the other day, you may have already seen this. Andrea had a real nice piece in there. The good news for you is that this is strictly informational. I need no money. I know you probably don't hear that very often, but what I'm about to explain to you, it's a program and there's money's involved, but this thing is going to be designed to fund itself eventually when it gets to rolling. So, and I think it's going to be really, really successful. Have you ever driven through a small town, America somewhere, and like the first thing you notice when you come through town, hanging on their light poles, they've got these banners of honoring their local veterans? I'm sure you've seen that. The closest town around here that I can think of is Petersburg, but you typically see it in small towns. So that's what we want to do, a project very similar to that. And I've got here's just an example, and this was actually loaned to me by Petersburg. So they're not going to look exactly like this, but it'll be very, very similar. And the way the program is going to work is that families will buy into this thing. They will actually pay a very, very nominal fee to get into it and have the banner created, and then it will hang for a period of time. And then when that time expires, they'll actually get the banner back. So you'll get something for your money. It's going to be a county-wide thing. So I'm looking at starting around the county courthouse because it is county property. Now, I've been asked a couple times, why don't you do this in every community around the county? And that would just be pretty hard to manage. I couldn't do that by myself, but maybe we'll get to that point someday. I don't know. But for the time being, we're going to start just around the courthouse. The mayor has been very gracious in principle, agreeing to allow us to expand if we run out of room going down Main Street and Broadway. So that, if we get to that point, that'll be good. The cost for this thing is going to be about $40 per family, which again, I think is very, very reasonable. And they will wind up with something for the money in the end. Again, it'll hang for a certain period of time. But for this first initial go round, for the first go this year, I'm planning on having things up by Veterans Day in November. But for this first go, because I want to get off to a good start, I'm selecting all the veterans and I want them to be very, very special. So we're just doing guys that were killed in action and or prisoners of war. And I'm up to about 24 or 25 right now. So it's gonna be real good. I think this thing's gonna be very successful. And again, after the first go around next year sometime, families will be able to buy in. I'll have some literature printed up and they can participate if they'd like. I've already got a list about as long as my arm of people are interested in doing that when the time comes. So again, I think this thing's gonna be really, really good. I'm very excited about it. So, happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other department reports? Jail update?
Well, just real quick, they started this week on the parking lot for the building across the street. And they're putting gravel down today. They removed quite a bit of dirt. And so that right on into the weather being the way it's been great. So they're working pretty fast. It may not take 60 days, it may be maybe 40. And they'll have it done. So that project's moving right along. Next week, 3i Design has a contract with an environmental part included in it that commissioners should get that between now and next Tuesday. And hopefully they will do some action on it. And we'll start find out what the demolition of the jail. That's how where we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business? Move on to new business, Chuck. Approval for
So I'm here to, once again, bring up the elephant in the room, the wheel tax issue. I think Daryl Schmidt left you some information there about Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1461. Reiterate that this is nothing that any of us want to do. However, because of the changes at the state level with the way funding works, they want local government to take more responsibility for projects. And one of the engines to fund that is the wheel tax. If you followed the paper or the media lately, you have seen that almost every county around us has either implemented, amended, revisited their wheel tax. The city of Evansville just imposed one. And, you know, several other, like I said, this is not something that we want to do, but because of changing in funding from the state level, it's something that we need to very seriously consider. Originally, when we discussed this with you, which we already have a wheel tax, I believe our current rate for personal vehicles is $7.50 and commercials is $5. The maximum allowable for personal vehicles is $40 and commercial vehicles is $80. Originally, we thought it would make sense to do it in, you know, just one time, take it to the maximum, but after review, we feel that it would be better to maybe implement a 3-year plan to take it to the maximum. So what we would like the commissioners and the county highway engineer would like for you to consider is looking at taking the personal to possibly $20 this year, $30 the following, and then $40 for the maximum on the 3rd year. Commercial, something similar, go from the $5 to $40, then $60, then $80 to the maximum. By doing this, this will show good faith to the state that we are following their suggestions. We also feel that this will be something that will greatly affect the scoring and the possibility of getting future community crossings grants. We're getting ready to apply for one of those in October for the Tulip Tree project for the Toyota Perimeter Road, which is a good project. It should score very well because of the number of traffic, 11,000 plus vehicles a day using it and everything like that. And we feel that by having a long-range plan in place, that we are sending a message to the state legislators that we have taken their suggestions seriously. We're taking ownership in funding projects locally, which is what they want to see done. So that is what we would like for you to consider today. Any questions? And those numbers are suggestions, obviously. But we really feel it's important for us to show good faith to the state, the people at the state, that we are, moving forward, taking local responsibility to do what's needed. Like I said, none of us want to. I'll have to pay the tax. You all have to pay the tax. But, we have to fund our roads, and that's the engine we have to do it with. So it's a necessary evil, unfortunately. Daryl, do you have any comments to add?
That's up to the county. They want to speak on it.
You're welcome to.
You want me to come up?
Sure.
Daryl Schmidt, for everyone, if you don't know me, I'm a farmer up Boutwell in Ireland. And I guess I didn't come to, get in the middle of, any local decision making. Basically with Senate Enrolled Act 1, the priority was to increase decision making, move decision making to the local level, and simplicity and transparency. There was a big push, or, we're all property taxpayers, right? So everybody wanted some property tax relief. So this initiated that. This is in my opinion, this was it's gonna be a moderate property tax relief. It's not gonna be massive, and it's gonna just moderately affect, it's more of a common sense middle ground, okay? The idea is to give local governments more control to make the decisions, okay? The wheel tax is a tool, local income tax is a tool. The first goal was not to shift and have everybody started talking about replacement income, okay? The first goal was to have everybody at local governments look to create efficiencies and to right-size government. There was, COVID happened, a lot of government dollars were coming from the federal government trying to, eliminate another Great Depression, if you will, okay? So the whole goal of SB1 is to give you guys more control to make your own decisions, okay? You guys have met your requirements if you guys have the wheel tax at the minimum, okay? Wheel taxes don't have to be administered, people that are creating the wheel taxes, that doesn't have to happen until 2026 to meet the requirements for the rest of the community crossings matching grants, okay? First 100 million for everybody that whether or not you have a wheel tax or not. By having the wheel tax, it opens up the opportunity for you guys to access the second round of funding, and that's not even been determined what that is, but you've met those requirements. So at this point, it doesn't make the state any difference. The idea is for you guys to have your own, have control of your decisions. So by having the minimums, you've met your eligibility. Now, if you guys choose to increase the wheel taxes for the funding, that's the whole idea of the concept. You guys have the control to make those decisions. But the goal was, from the state level, there's $54 billion worth of debt held at the local level right now. And that was starting to get concerning. So at this point, and I guess I'll start out by saying, I look at it from the local perspective. September 9th of 2024 is I resigned from the Du Bois County Council last year. So today was my last day being a county councilor in Du Bois County. And tomorrow, September the 10th, is when I was sworn in to be your state senator. So I still look at it from our perspective, but this gives us the opportunity to make the decisions, okay? First thing is to look for ways to right-size the government, but then if you need to, this empowers you guys to make the decisions. If you want to, if people are clamoring for more roads to be fixed and things, you guys have the ability to raise the raise the wheel tax, excise tax, to do that. If people are clamoring for more income tax relief, then you guys have the ability to the wheel tax is the minimum, but like on the local income tax, you can lower that down. So this is designed to be a more one-to-one correlation. Okay, so if you guys say, okay, people are claiming that income taxes are too high, we need to lower that. Okay, you guys have the opportunity to lower it, and then you'll be able to say, okay, well, now instead of paving 18 miles of roads, we're going to pay 14. These 4 are going to be pushed off. So the whole idea is to give you guys more flexibility to make the decisions. In 2015, the state income tax was 3.4%. Okay, it's not accidental that most of these things aren't going to go into play until 2027. Okay. And in 2027, the state income tax will be 2.9%. So that's 0.5% less that the state's going to be collecting on income tax. So if you guys choose to use your local income tax, and if you think you've maximized out your efficiencies and you need to raise that, I look at that as we're basically, instead of collecting that 0.5% of income at the state level, and then having the state dictate to you what you're going to do with that. If you choose to collect it at the local level, then you guys make the determination of what you're going to spend it. So I'd much rather have us as locals be able to collect it, administer it, and do it more efficiently. You guys are, where's mine? Like I was looking, and I was at the Princeton City Council meeting, last week. And you guys here you have one of the, where's my numbers? I don't have my Gibson County numbers here, but you guys' income tax, your local income tax, you're one of the lower ones in the state. And I apologize, I don't have the numbers to remember, I can't keep all the counties straight, but, so I'm not here to advocate, and the state's not here to advocate for you to shift from property taxes to income taxes and raise it. This is giving you guys the tools to make the decisions. So I'm not here to tell you guys at all how to get into your business. You've met your requirements as far as being, having the availability and access to that second round of community crossings funding. How about that?
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, where does the money from community crossings come from?
Oh, no, that's a good question. I don't have the exact answer. That is a formula that I don't have figured out either. There's a formula that's coming out of, I think it's the, gas tax dollars, the registration fees for electric vehicles. You know?
Okay, so here's my next question. Why do we have to have a wheel tax, or anybody have to have a wheel tax, get the taxes that have already been collected from our county to pay that? Why do we have to implement another tax to get the taxes that we've already paid?
Yeah, I'm not, that's a good question. I'm not arguing with it. This is, the idea when I asked the same questions, because I went up in January, the first time I was in session, and when I first saw Senate Bill 1, I was kind of scared to death as local government the same way. So I decided to get involved and try to make it the best version that I can, and I ultimately supported it and caused some grief for it. They want local government to have skin in the game, to be involved, and I look at it as just a tool in the toolbox, okay? The wheel tax that you've been collecting, I don't know how many years you've been collecting it, half the counties, I have the 6, 3 collecting it, 3 aren't. You've met your requirements where you're sitting right now to be able to access all community crossing grants, so
I'm just gonna tell you how a lot of people feel, like, is more or less you're passing this, you're lowering property taxes $300 or up to $300 rough. That is making you guys in the state level look good, or that money's coming from somewhere.
That's
It's all
right.
being passed down to us, where, yes, we could probably work on efficiency, and we're trying to do that. As you just said, our local income tax is one of the lowest in the state, we try to keep that. But now you're passing the burden on to us of collecting that tax. That's,
well, we've been the property taxes have been collected locally and stayed locally, okay? Everybody was, myself, I saw my property tax bills going up 20-some% for the last, however, 4 or 5 years. So this was an opportunity for us to get some property tax relief, and we're open to ideas, if people are wanting property taxes reduced more, if we have to come up with alternate ways to do it or what, but, the idea is not to pass the buck on you and to make the state look as a good guy. The state doesn't receive $1 of the property tax, money, Now, I look at it as it's giving us more control. And I went as a county councilor last year, I went up to the State House 5 or 6 times last year just listening. So I realized that there was a lot of things they were already talking about. This has been talked since 2023. They had these study committees. And I had to make a hard decision whether or not I thought I could do more good staying at the county level and advocating or going up there. And that's ultimately what I chose. But I like the idea that we're going to have more control as a local government. It's more responsibility for us, but I sure much rather have you guys making the decisions for Gibson County than somebody dictating it to us. So I look at it as an opportunity for us to do what's right and be efficient. You're gonna have to make some hard decisions, true.
and then, this is not the first time this has happened. We changed the jail, we changed for level 6 felonies, state's no longer keeping those. So about every county in the state had to build a new jail. The state closed down 2 prisons.
which saved the state a whole lot of money, but it cost every county in the state of Indiana. Ours is $20-some million jail that we had to build, where the state can look good, but we had to pass the
We gotta do the
taxes
same
back.
thing in Du Bois County. You're right.
I mean, it's coming a trend where way I'm looking at it at least is we're making us look good. We're gonna pass it along to the local people and where all the pressure comes to us. And the pressure is not the problem. The problem is where are we gonna stop with this? Where the states, we're gonna be in total control of all money or not?
I mean, you're saying you'd rather have the state in control all of it as opposed to us locally?
No, but I'm saying we're changing things constantly where it looks, where it comes out, the state looks better and the local people, it passes on to us.
Yeah, well,
Because that money comes from somewhere, no matter,
amen.
I mean, it's not, just because you cancel it doesn't mean that bill goes away.
No,
You see
no,
what
I
I'm
know.
saying?
Well, and I like the idea of getting it more local, okay, you know, taking that 0.5% instead of state collecting, and if you guys need to collect it down here, you guys are gonna be a lot more efficient. I like that I look at it as an opportunity. Now, and here's what I'll say, there's not accidental that it's not being implemented for 2 years, you know, if there's unintended consequences, and I still look from the local level, you know, most of you guys here have my cell phone number, if not, it's 631-3856. I'm here as much to answer, as to receive input on things that I have, that maybe we need to change, as I am to try to, you know, dictate or tell you what's going on. I'm just trying to explain the bill. You know, a lot of this started long before I was ever there, but I think ultimately that is a good thing, and it's gonna give you more control over it, so. I guess at that point, that, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna be good for us. It is more responsibility, but I'd rather us have that responsibility to make the right decision. But, any other questions on that?
No, appreciate your time.
Okay, and I'm happy to be here. You can call me anytime, and, I guess I wanna understand the problems, and if we need to go and change and modify moving forward, then we will, but I'm not here all to get in the middle of you guys' local decision making. I just wanted to come and answer questions, and I had no idea this stuff was on the agenda. This is all your calls, but I'm happy to help any way I can.
Any other questions?
You have a excavator pickup trucks info?
Oh, so the commissioners have approved, Matt to buy a wheeled excavator, which is through, the program called Sourcewell, which is already approved, state pricing. So he's gonna move forward with that, and then he wants to purchase 6 pickup trucks. And that will come out of, I believe that money will have to be encumbered, and he has to get bids because there's no dealers that participate in the Sourcewell project. So he's moving forward with that. Don't believe he has the funding for all of it. He won't need any additional appropriations or anything. It's just a
How many
FYI.
pickups they have out there?
Excuse
How many
me.
pickups they have in?
I don't know off the top of my head, Mike, but what he's looking at doing is,
Okay.
using pickup trucks that are a whole lot more fuel efficient than $150,000 dump trucks to run around and haul people. We're looking at more efficient ways to, handle our workforce. In other words, if we have a ditching project or a mowing project or whatever at one end of the county, rather than driving equipment back and forth to the garage every night, we'll find a farmer or someplace to park it, and we'll shuttle people with pickup trucks rather than dump trucks.
Yeah.
So it's all cost saving, efficiency type things.
Does your make budget go down then?
I don't think it'll make it go down, but it'll make the dollars go farther. That makes sense.
Keep hours off the heavy equipment.
Right. Hours a month, I mean, you know, it really doesn't make sense to drive a great big dump truck to haul a guy out to a piece of equipment, what you can do in a pickup truck.
So is that just for reputation? We don't need to approve them?
That's basically just an FYI.
Appreciate that. Thanks for what, sir.
Okay, Overfund 8101.
That is a dormant fund that's been out there for 2000. And it has not had any activity to it or anything, and we would like to transfer that money to close that fund out to the general fund, so we motion to do that.
I make a motion to allow the transfer and close the thing.
I'll second. We have a motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Zero.
And then the CDIP and fit allocation. For that, which I gave you information on, we need to determine where, how our portion of this is going to be allocated. Because this goes out to each one of the individual units. And so ours needs to be.
Typically based on how much your tax rate is for all the different, general fund reassessment, in building and in bridge. Those all have a tax rate, and it's based on their individual tax rate and how much that can be. You want to continue with that, it's fine. Or if you want to say you want to receive it all into the general fund, do that as well. We do not get this money until December, just before the December meeting. Before December meeting. It usually goes out the same time as so. So take a decision by November.
Orange button. I sent you, explaining to you that 2 or 3 years ago, the state lab auditors received a stipend of $2,500 for the commissioner and council extra work, and I have not asked for it, and I'm asking for it for this year and be put in for next year too. Yeah. Yeah, I've got money in my budget to back the account. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the congressman.
Motion, other second.
Second.
Motion, second, any discussion?
What's the stipend for?
We're taking,
Doing this.
Doing the extra work at the council work and the commissioner work.
any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And we've got transfers and additional appropriations.
So we have a transfer request from, edit overtime into certification stipend for $5,000 to cover stipend expense for right of way project. And clerk's budget from office supplies and computer equipment, $71. From the treasurer's office, $500 from secondary training to state. Those are the transfer requests. Motion to approve 3. We have a motion, is there a second? So, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. We have additional appropriation requests, in outdoor warning siren equipment, $575,000. $575,000. We fixed it, $540,000.
Okay, shipping, okay.
Is that right?
I've the papers in your desk from the RFP.
$575,000. In equipment repairs and maintenance, $1,900 for a total of, that was not that math, but. $576,900. No, it's two at a time. And that. Yeah. No, that. Equipment. 575, sorry.
Those sirens, this.
Right. Is that for the big sirens, the $575? Like, going record where I was having $575,000 to purchase 18 new sirens in this entire county. I know that won't make a headline anywhere, but it should. Don't move on that one. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, in the 1233 Lit Correctional Rehab Facility, requesting an additional of $3,500 in owner's representative, $500 in secretary, $12,307 in professional services, and $523,693 jail project construction for a total of $540,000. We have a motion to advertise $550,000. Any additional for the correctional facility? You have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. In 4100 EMA Prepare Women's Foundation, requesting an additional 2,000 in supplies, 1,000 in other services and charges for a total of 3,000. In Fund 1237 opioid restricted. We don't, so we leave those. Okay. We'll entertain a motion on the EMA Prepare Women's Foundation additional 3,000. What is that?
That's the, basically the donation line, the grant money that I get. Usually goes in there for first responders and. It's always been probably money. The money's there, it's just making sure there's money in there for appropriation.
So it's a donation line that you just asked, then 3,000, but.
There's 1,000 in it, but it's making sure there's money there. Training.
Anybody? I'll make a motion. I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 7-0. All right, so we have a slew of additionals here. We had 155,000 in personal services, in the general fund. 285,000 for other services and charges, 6,000 for capital outlays. In the lit public safety fund, $9,000 for other services and charges, $120,000 for capital outlays. In motor vehicle highway fund 1176, 35,000 for supplies. And 72,600 for other services and charges. In the riverboat fund, 1191, capital outlays, 110,000. Statewide 911 fund, 1222, 4,000, capital outlays, $70,000. Prosecutor deferral fund, 3,000, other services and charges, and $15,000 in the sheriff's fleet maintenance fund, 4011. 65,000 for supplies and 40,000 for other services and charges.
Move the roll advertising.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second, any discussion, questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? 7-0. And then. For the Gibson County Solid Waste District, they requested an additional 15,000 in other services and charges and 400 in capital outlay, or 550,000 in capital outlays. And that's the only one on the list. Entertain motion. We have a motion by Derek, is there a second?
That's it.
Good. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Yeah. Have some public comment. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk to us about? Aside, we do, we've got a few minutes.
Okay. I handed out a bunch of, information, before I got here, and all it is, it's information to try to help explain, Senate Bill 1. The first is this property tax legislation. Read through that. It's just kind of a quick, it explains the assessed value changes, where ultimately by the time we get to year 7, the 1% cap people will have a 2/3 property tax deduction. I mean, 2/3 assessed valuation deduction, where we'll basically, when the tax rate's set, homeowners will pay property taxes based off 1/3 of their assessed value times the rate. Okay, then the 2% cap people, which are basically rental properties, land, they'll have a 1/3 assessed valuation. So if they've got a $150,000 parcel, the first 50,000 of the assessed value will be knocked off as a deduction, then they'll pay tax rate times 100,000. And then the 3% cap, businesses and things, they'll pay the tax rate times 100% of the assessed value, okay? The goal there is, as you hear people talking about deductions are going away. Well, a lot of the deductions are gonna go away, but then some of the, veterans deductions and things, you'll see that on that other parcel. Veterans and elderly, they'll be a straight credit, right, off of your tax bill instead of a deduction. The goal is to, besides the delivering decisions locally, it's simplicity and transparency of our property tax system, because I, for one, can't figure it out when you have to have, 18 different calculations to come in with deductions. So instead of having the individualized deduction, it's basically just a 2/3 assessed value deduction off of it, where it's simpler, okay? And then if you'll hear people concerned about the business personal property tax going away, for businesses, but where that comes back in and that revenue is gonna be collected a little bit different, will be at the 100% of assessed valuation for the 3% cap people. So if you have questions on that, that's what that information's for. And then I also, that's the revenue projections. It shows, a lot of times you're getting you're getting information off and you hear people talking about, well, I'm gonna lose $600,000 from 26 revenue to 2025 revenue, or from 25 to 26. And the misconception is that you're actually taking 600,000 off of your 25 revenues. Well, that's not really the case. So in there, I gave you a copy of everybody within District 48. You know, other counties, it's all public records for comparisons. But then it'll also, it'll have Gibson on there where if you look at the first set of columns, there's four columns, and it might be easier to look at the very first page of that because it's estimated levy before Senate Enrolled Act 1 on the very front page. It's 25, 26, 27, 20, 28. Those are the revenues, your actual 25 revenues. Then if we wouldn't have Senate Bill 1, what your revenues would have been. And then the second set of columns is what your actual revenue projections are gonna be because of Senate Bill 1, Senate Enrolled Act 1, okay? And then the third set of columns is the revenue change year over year, okay? So, and then the fourth one is just a percentage. Like if you would just go to, and this is property tax only, if you go to Gibson County, like at 15,610,000 was roughly your 2025 numbers, okay? If we would have continued raising taxes at the 4% rate, on that, you would have had 16.49 million. Actually, then now with Senate Bill 1, projected revenues for 26, if you go to the second set of columns, it's 15,839,000. So an increase, if you go to the next column, then an increase of 229,000. So that's actually the increase. Only in a government can we call a reduction of an increase a decrease. But this is just a different way this is a different way to look at your, your revenue is increasing, not as much as you wanted, but that's hopefully a simpler way, a better way to do that. And then the last big pamphlet, that's just something I had them put together. It just, you read through that, it just different changes and a handbook trying to, understand the system we have. But the goal is to basically to simplify it for us so we can understand it. I found that numbers on your property taxes. You're the 14th lowest in lid in the state, which I think is a good thing, right? I'm for limited government, staying out of the way and let us as locals, run it. Now, also what I wanted, you were talking about, state versus local. I'm not at all, I don't look at it as state versus local. We're trying to push stuff down to us as local governments. I want us to have that right, privilege, responsibility to make the decisions because we'll do it better. But here's just a couple numbers for in 2026, the projections of revenue for local governments to grow at 1.6%. Okay, so that's not as much as it was, but it's limited growth, slowing down the growth. At the state level, we're projected, our revenues are gonna go 0.8%. So half of what the local government's gonna do. 2027, local governments are projected to get another 5.1% in revenue, okay? The state, we're gonna have 0.1% growth is what the projections are. So we're doing the same thing at the state level with skin in the game, trying to reduce the tax burden, so we're not taxing everybody to death. Then it's up to us as local governments to decide where we want to end up. Okay, you guys will have the tools. If everybody's clamoring for more services, you have the ability to raise taxes and show people, here's what you're going to get for them. But the converse will be, you also have the tools. If people are clamoring for property tax, you will have a say in the rates, the property tax rates moving forward as we're going. You'll have a bigger role in determining that, but then also on the local income tax. If people are clamoring for less taxes, you'll be able to have a direct correlation saying, okay, you want taxes cut, here's what we're gonna do, and then here's what we're gonna probably have to do as far as services, and then you guys, as constituents and locals, are gonna be able to make that decision. So that's basically the information. I'm here to help on anything, answer any questions, and we can react to things if there's unintended consequences. So You know, I'm one of us. I'm for local control and that's always the perspective that I got is for us as local, just accountability and efficiency at the bureaucratic functions up there and letting us, empowering us to make the decisions. Any other questions?
I have a question. I'm Mary Ann O'Neill, treasurer of Wilson County.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you address, the homestead deduction? How that's gonna change in the next 5 years?
The 1%
homestead.
cap,
The homestead deduction. Right now, the homestead deduction, if the individual has that, it almost cuts it in half. Their property taxes. So can you address how that's gonna change in the next 5 years?
I don't know that we have projections out that far.
Really?
But
Because,
that I don't know of.
okay, in the conferences that we attend in the next 5 years, it's gonna go away.
Okay,
It's gonna be reduced, gradually. In 2030, there will be no homestead deduction.
okay. So then that's part of by 2031, it'll be addressed in that paper. If you look at the second page, that's where I'll get you one.
Okay.
And I'm actually planning on coming over to the courthouse after that because I know the auditor, and some people there in his office had questions trying to understand. So if you look at these individualized deductions are gonna go away, but we're gonna have a standard 2/3 deduction of our assessed value. Okay, so instead of having, the homestead deductions and solar and all these other whole listing of deductions, everybody, instead of just broken down and making it complicated, simplifying to where every one of the 1%ers has a 2/3 deduction of their assessed value. And that's all part of the idea. It's just, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but it's giving us the ability to make the decisions. But simplicity and transparency where we understand it. I think we have the sixth most complicated property tax system in the country. So the idea is to make it simpler, but also just as a side note, if you start looking and comparing our property taxes to the property taxes of a lot of states around the country, we actually have one of the most reasonable. It's most complicated, but we have a really reasonable property tax system compared to a lot of other states. But, so we have to choose how, and I don't have the answers. I'm just here. I'm a farmer. I'm here just like one of you guys trying to advocate the best I can. So I'm open to any suggestions and everything is, I guess, basically on the table, how we want to move forward. There's people want to eliminate property taxes totally. Like Tennessee and Florida. But how do we do that? I'd love to go to a system where once you got your mortgage paid on your house, your property taxes are done. But if you guys have ideas on how to do it, everybody's all ears, we don't have, and this is just me personally speaking, we don't have the tourism. Tennessee has Nashville. We don't really have a Nashville in Indiana, or we don't have oceans and beaches either, so. If there's better ways to do this, we're happy to do it, or I'm happy to try to entertain it, try to work. Did that answer your question on the simplicity of it?
Doesn't sound simple to me, but that's.
Okay,
Well, from what I've read, the standard deduction is gonna go away, but the supplemental is gonna increase, right? The supplemental portion, there's two portions of that homestead exemption. One's a flat amount. I don't know, $30,000 gonna go down to 20, 10, and 0, and then, the current 40% supplemental is gonna go to 67 during that.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm gonna have to get back with you on that, and I don't really know, just to be quite honest. I don't have an answer for you on that one. That's why I've got my notepad up here too.
Jerry, I think you're correct. That is gonna go away.
Yeah, but it feels like on the outset that would be beneficial for higher assessed value homes versus, where people were getting a flat 30,000 on their house, whether that was 2/3 of it or not. As the base, so I don't know how it impacts the lower assessed value homes versus the others.
I'll have to get back with you on that. I don't know that. See, this is, and obviously it's my first session, so I don't know, but in my opinion, it looks like this is such a big fundamental shift that we're gonna, you know, and that's why it's not happening until 2028, most of this stuff, so we can figure it out. Just like, we have never tracked as a state, like income by address, you know? So, cause you know, when I was at the Princeton City Council meeting last week, they're concerned about, as we break down the lit from, totally county now here as a co-ed county, to giving municipalities the opportunity to utilize the lit that if they need to. It's hard to make projections because until we get to the 2025 returns here payable in 26, now they're gonna start requiring, having an address on it, so then we can kind of make better projections, if we're changing from a county lit to some portions of it will just be municipal. So there's a lot of unknown there on this. That's why, I want the input. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm running around everywhere.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming and making representation, and I think that you asked what you can do from a state government level is to be more transparent in public meetings like this. I got destroyed last month because I got misrepresented on a statement I made in the newspaper that I want Matt and Chuck and these guys to keep coming back talking about this wheel tax.
Yeah.
I don't want the wheel tax to raise. I don't think anybody at this table wants to raise taxes, but that information needs to be presented at public meetings on what's coming down and how do we view what's happening with Senate Bill 1. We're all trying to feel the ripple effect. So, constantly bringing it out in the public hearings and the public meetings is where it needs to happen. So I appreciate that.
That's why I'm here and that's why I'm doing it. Yeah, I get run over too. I kind of got ran over at the city council meeting here. Everything got blamed on Senate Bill 1.
Oh, we are.
And so I guess what I would say, maybe my observation moving forward on this, like at the city council meeting, they were concerned about having to eliminate firefighters and do a bunch of things. Well, the revenue, like in Princeton's, for example, the revenue's up $91,000 from 25 to 26. Now, if you look at unrealized potential gain, if we'd have kept raising taxes, it was $120,000 less, which, from one year, it was a smaller, $120,000 smaller increase. So, and they were concerned there that Senate Bill 1 was the reason that they're gonna have to fire multiple firefighters, but now as I'm researching, I think it has something to do more with breaking up the fire territories. My personal opinion, and there's more work to be done on that. And I'm not trying to throw them under the bus either, but so there's a lot of moving parts here, because I'm just learning now about that Patoka Township and Princeton, the fire territories are broken up. And so that affects that revenue. So there's gonna be a lot of things that we have to work together moving forward, because right now, you guys have the 1.3% lit at the county. Some of that goes to, municipalities, for the public safety, for the fire and EMS. So as we go forward, you guys, as a city, as a town, or county council and the city councils, you guys will have to work together on that, even though there's gonna be, the rates are gonna be broken up. There's no intention of this to create winners and losers, or, where the county gets more revenue and the cities don't. So there's a lot of things that we have to work together to work the bugs out. Yes, sir.
A minute ago, I asked a question, the public safety guy,
Yes.
the fire and EMS, is police removed from that?
That's what everybody says, and they're worried about that. I've got to check. I'm gonna be in Indianapolis tomorrow. That's not the intention of it. And I look at this as you guys have a 1.3 now and it's broken, and then you have it broken out, but.
We're 0.4 on the public safety.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there it is. So as we move forward, there is on local income tax, the combined for the counties, I've got that here. Counties and municipalities be 2.9%, okay? Of the county total, that can be 1.7%, 2% of that will be county general purpose, okay, 1.2% of that. So that means you have total latitude on that. Okay, 4/10 is for fire protection EMS. I don't think that's, if that is actually excluding them, we'll make sure and change that, but I don't think that's the intention. And then 2% for townships, libraries, special units, and up to 0.3% for property tax relief. So now when you do the math, that's 1.9. So you're not gonna be able to max them all out. Okay, the 1.7%, it's a total of 1.9. And then the 1.2% for the cities is basically the way my understanding is there's no restrictions on that. Okay, so we can call it, and I even called it like now, but while we're still on co-ed counties, we called it a public safety tax and that had to go to that, but it's just a lit tax. And these are, you know, so there's enough flexibility in there that if you guys said, okay, I wanna go 5/10, and technically for the public safety services, you can take 1/10 out of your general purpose and use that. The idea is not to
I
handcuff.
think that needs more clarity.
I'll make sure, if
Because I can
that's an
tell you what
act-
it looks like to me.
No, absolutely.
As a 22-year police officer.
Yeah, no,
I know
there's no,
exactly what it looks like.
there's no intention for
Okay.
that.
You
That
might
was
want to
not
get a little
intent.
song and dance behind that.
Yes. So,
Thank you. We gotta start another meeting.
okay,
Appreciate it.
all right. Reach out anytime.
We have a hard stop. We have a 10 a.m. We have.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
I can make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn and take a 2-minute recess before reading.
I don't have this all figured out. It's all bad. There's so many things. I don't have
This total, you know.
Good answer, so we put a new one out.
Yeah, I understand.
Everybody leave that.
Well, let me know what you need. I mean, we do, but I mean, maybe documentation. Yeah. Okay, well, if you need something more, let me know.
I've done a change from us.
You gonna read?
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't have to be all the fire.
I think you're just final over there. I don't think you have to go series 1, series 2, series 3. I'm just, there you go.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't move because of season. If I'd wanted something easy, that sure felt would have done it. But no, thank you.
Yeah, but.
Okay,
Oh, great.
so for the solid waste management, the grand total is 2,048,205. For the Owensville Montgomery Township Fire is 778,700. And then for the clerk of circuit court, 395,000. Oh, this 26, sorry. $411,975. For the county auditor, it is $467,677. For county treasurer, 293,988. For the county recorder, 187,148. For the sheriff, this is 2,168,326. For the county surveyor, 285,305. County coroner, is 105,750. The county assessor, 305,538. For the prosecuting attorney, 525,304. Registration of voters, 65,200. County co-op extension services, 283,332. Veteran service officer, 51,117. For the county council, 173,000. Drainage board, 9,370. Got 2 more. County commissioners. Goes on and on. $9,188,699. For the election expense, $169,050. Courthouse, $407,793. Superior Court, $254,103. Circuit Court, $504,982. Probation, $571,325. Public defender,
Wow, we got that.
I'm sorry. $571,323.
There you go. You said five.
Oh, thank you. And we have your public defender, $955,686. Emergency medical services, $2,632,526. Emergency management agency, $107,316. Waste and measures, 58,367. Public safety, 2,600. Jail, 2,004,714. Landfill, 65,000. Animal control, 216,000. 4D program child support, 423,528. Pretrial services, 164,865. Magistrate, 271,173. Accident report, 35,000. Economic development, 3,714,396. Clerk records perpetuation, 44,033. CC project income, 618,319. Prisoner reimbursement, 7,000. Sales disclosure county share, 6,000. Covered bridge, 4,900. Cumulative bridge, 3,076,312. Cumulative building, 125,000. Drug-free community, 25,000. Emergency planning, 20,260. Enhanced access fund, 22,000. Firearms training, 50,000. 1151 health. 759 health, I'm sorry. 482,982. Identity security protection, 6,000. Local public health services, 446,349. Local health maintenance, 57,787. Local road and street, 520,000. 1170 lit public safety, 2,080,000. 1174 medical care for inmates, 3,500. 1175 misdemeanor, is that our actual word? 57,000. Sorry. Motor vehicle highway, 1176. 6,225,130. 1189 recorders records perpetuation, 125,102. 1191 riverboat, 30,000. 1192 sex and violence offender administration, 30,000. 1197 stormwater management operating, 200,000. 1,200 supplemental public defense services, 289,000. 1202 surveyor corner perpetuation, 30,050. 1203 tax sales fees, 25,000. 1206 local health department trust account, 14,312. 1213 JL CASA, 33,922. State capacity building for 1214 is 16,574. 1217 county election officials training. 12,000. 1222 statewide 911, 676,217. 1224 reassessment, 162,787. 1233 lit correction rehab facility, 1,930,000. 1237 opioid restricted 2006. 1238 opioid unrestricted 68,000. 2000 audit administrative 18,060. 2100 supplemental adult probation services 158,500. 2200 alternative dispute resolutions 20,000. 2501 jury fee 15,000. 2502 prosecutor deferral user fee 93,361. 95,361, sorry. 2505 alcohol drug user fee 12,000. 2509 problem solving CRT 22,162. Sheriff law Fund 2510 sheriff law enforcement training 5,000. Fund 4001 park recreation donations 10,000. Fund 4009 county corrections fund 372,400. Fund 4010 drug task force 2,227. 4011 sheriff's fleet maintenance 200,000. 4012 K9 10,000. 4100 EMA prepare women's foundation 10,000. 4107 child safety seat donations 1,203. 4110 Gibson County veterans donations 9,400. 8104 victim assistance 58,112. 8106 operation pullover 13,260. 8114 operations TIP 195. 8119 local health emergency prep 19,377. 8123 health department school grant 68,587. 8893 title 4 10,000. 8895 4D incentive 11,400. 8897 the pros incentive 17,868. 8899 clerk incentive 26,046. 9102 multiple jurisdictional meth lab 148. Oh wait, that's it. No, this is different. DARE 9103 3,650. 9117 hub grant prosecutor 27,000. 9118 pretrial services Superior Court 105,417. 9143 pretrial services grant 26,000.
salary and motion. Right, I will make a motion to approve 2026 year budget as presented. We have a motion and a second to approve the budget. Beginning, oh, yeah. Let me get the roll call.
Jay, did you second that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll call for one moment. Okay, we have a motion and a second. And I will need to go down the list. Derek McGraw. Aye. Jeremy Overton. Aye. Jay Ryan. Aye. Craig Schaefer.
Aye.
Bob Schlier.
Aye.
Mike Stillwell.
Aye.
Anna Whitehead.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 7-0. I think so.
Put it on something.
There's the Owensville.
We did it on, you haven't said.
Yeah, he read it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second it. Great job, Bob. That was good reading.
Good.
Oh, you never.
No, you did great.
We didn't ever.
Thank you.
Yeah, we take.
Well, Dave, Karen.
One's-